Okay, here we are, 2001 BMW. We're doing a valve cover gasket today. Never dull. Thing with this, the valve cover gaskets they get hard, they get old, they crack, and the owner is getting some drips of oil on the floor, and you can see where the light's shining down here. You can see quite a bit of oil coming out of it. So this probably should have been done a while ago. It's got 170,000 on it, but we'll see. Now, these things are a little tricky. You got to watch this. You got to take this plastic hose off. You don't do it right, you'll break the stupid thing. You don't want to break that. And there's not a lot of clearance here, so we'll see if we can get it out without taking this whole overarm thing off. If we have to, we have to. So let's get at it. We'll tear into it a little bit. First thing, you take these little there's little clips here. You take this out, and you take these clips out in the valve or the oil filler cap, and you can start seeing what we got to do. And so let's take a few bolts out. So we're taking out this top piece here. It looks like it's a little tight back there. So you unpop it. There's 3 little screws right in here. Half turns, they pop out. And this is where your cabin air filter is also, if you never need to change it. But then we take these 4 Torx bolts out back here, and this thing should pop right out. So hold on. Now we got the cabin air filter out. Now we got enough room to take the whole engine out, looks like. So anyway, let's just keep disassembling here, and I'll show you another clip once we get these this cover and that cover off. Okay, we got the top, the plastic cover off. Not a big deal. Now we got to take your coils out. So if you look at these coils, right, there's your coil. There's all your wiring harness. We'll have to pull the harness out of the way. Now you got to discombobulate these things. So you just get under here, snap this thing out, and this thing will pull backwards. Okay. Then once you get this out of the way, right, like that, we're going to be taking each of these coils out. So we'll set them up somewhere. You know, this is cylinder 1, 2, 3. We'll set them up in the same order, or even mark them if you want to. Probably doesn't matter what cylinder you put them in, but I'll put them back in the same place, just to be perfect about it. So we'll mark them with a 1, 2 with a magic marker here. So let's get that off, and then I think we can start tearing at the valve cover gasket. Taking the whole thing off. The other thing you got to watch is these things. They're routinely made out of crappy plastic, and I'm pointing to this thing right here. So when you loosen it up, you got to push this to get the latches to stop working, or to override the latches to push them out. But then get a little screwdriver and pry in there a little bit. You don't want to mess with these too much, because again, they're frail plastic, and if you break the stupid thing, the other end is, well, I don't even know where the other end goes. You'd have to probably take off the rear tire to get to it. So just be very wary with that part right there. Once you get that off, that's, I don't know, I think that's probably the trickiest thing in the whole thing here. So getting that stupid thing off. So just be careful. Again, this is a 2001, so this plastic is 14 years old. So you don't want to be breaking that and trying to fish another part down through there. So just watch yourself. Okay, so we're getting ready to pop the coils off, and I popped this off here. Again, I put a little screwdriver in there, push down on this, maybe spray it a little bit. I did not spray it, but you could probably spray it with some whatever the heck, some WD-40 or something. But again, that came off no problem. And just remember, we got a ground strap here, a ground strap back here, and we got a little brown wire right here. So when we put it all back together, we got to put that stuff back on it. So just it's always good to videotape or take a picture of this stuff, because when you're throwing it all back together, you may forget. And try not to lose the nuts and bolts. They're going to be they'll probably drop to the ground at this time, but you still don't want to lose them. So just take your time. Okay, we got the coils out, disconnected these, and we're going to take this whole assembly out. I already did it, but if you take a look, they just snap in there. So you got to sort of get a little screwdriver, do a little pry action here, but you don't have to take this cover off. You just get in here and snap it from the front and the back, and usually you'll pull it up and you'll feel it coming out. So anyway, this whole assembly, we're going to lay over to the side, get it out of the way. We're getting closer. Okay, we had to get rid of the oxygen sensors, pull them out of the way, and it's pretty easy. I mean, I don't really see going through every little bit of this stuff. But anyway, this whole harness, you pull it out. You got a little vacuum line here. This is for your what the heck is it called? It's a secondary air pump solenoid valve. So you got a little air line here. You pull that out of the way, and of course you pull the oxygen sensors out of the way. And I guess if you got to change your oxygen sensor, there's one right there and there's one right there. So they're pretty easy to get to once you take half the car apart. But anyway, so we got it out of the way of the harness. Now we can get ready taking all these little bolts out here. So I got a whole bunch of them. So looks like not too bad. So let's get at it.
Look at that. They have like the stud in there.
Here's what the bolts look like you're taking off here. They got a bolt, a washer. Well, it's sort of a nut bolt. I don't know. Anyway, it goes in here like this. So when you take these out, you got to take the bolt, the washer, and the rubber thing out. You don't want these things floating around when you pop this cover off. So make sure all these holes, you got to take the bolt, the washer, and the rubber thing out. So now he's taking off the center ones there where all the ground wires were attached to. And they also have a little rubber thing. Right here it is. I'm sorry. Right there it is. It's like a stud. That's where you're doing your grounding. And it's got a washer and a rubber thing. So make sure all that stuff comes out, because this thing's going to pop off, and it usually pops off. It doesn't come off nicely. And you know, it's been stuck on there so many years. So if anything's on top here, it's going to jump all around in someplace you don't know. Okay, the valve cover popped right off. Not too big of a deal. But right here you'll see, you know, this stuff gets all hard. So we'll have to pick this out of here with a screwdriver. You see a little spot there. Everything looks pretty clean. There's one back there too. And you know, we'll go around the edge with just a rag, a clean rag, and clean all this stuff up. So not a big deal. It looks actually pretty clean. So if we look at the valve cover itself, you can see that you know, spots like right there are just you know, old, and these things just, you know, they're hard as plastic. You know, you can see how tough they are. And you know, the ones you're putting back in are, you know, rubber like they should be. But what happens is these gaskets get old, they get dry rotted, and they get cracks in them, and oil starts seeping out and going all over the place. And every once in a while to get on your intake or exhaust manifold, and it'll just make a hell of a smell. So we're getting closer. Okay, so we're going to change the plugs while we're in here. You know, it's pretty easy to get to. Now, one thing you'll see with these plugs is they'll loosen, but sometimes they get tight. So what I do is, you know, loosen them, tighten them back up a little bit. You know, just take it a little bit at a time, because these are aluminum heads. You don't want the freaking plug galling and causing you grief. So don't just go moosing it out of there. Take your time with it. If it's sticky, throw a little bit of penetrating fluid or something down there. For some reason, these are a little snug down there. So again, don't just be moosing the stupid thing out. There we go. Now it's coming out. But about half turn out, it got tight, and you don't want to just power through it. Tighten it back up. Take a few turns to the right, and loosen it up again. Then you'll get the stupid things out. So little tricks like that makes they go much easier. Okay, so I'm prepping the valve cover gasket here, and I just put a little bit of RTV around here. I mean, it's just basically coloring it blue RTV. So the rest of it does not need it. The inner ones don't need it. So we're going to drop this thing back in there, and it's going to be wonderful. So we got all the plugs in and out. So a couple of them are pretty tight, so we went in half a turn, out a half a turn. So anyway, we got the plugs out with no big deal. So this is all prepped up. You know, we cleaned this whole seal along here, and you can see I lifted these wires up. Just get them out of the way. We're gonna take that valve cover. We're gonna glide it in here and drop it straight down. So once we get it in there, I'll feel around the back there just to make sure everything's in the proper position. Those little rubber caps are in the same right spot. The same up here. So most of the time they go on without too much trouble. And again, you know, move this thing out of the way. Don't break the freaking thing though. So let's get the valve cover gasket back on. Okay, we got the valve cover back on, and you can see in the front here, just you can just see this little thing is flush here. That little D-shaped thing is flush. In the back, you're gonna have to feel around or get a mirror, but they're flush. In the centers here, you know, you just want to make sure anything could happen, but you can just barely see in here. You can see that little piece of rubber down there, so you know that the gasket you put on there is in place. So last thing you want to do is put one of these frickin' things together with a gasket that fell out, because you'll be hating life. So everything looks good to go. We're going to start throwing some bolts around there. We got the new rubber bushings, so we'll plug all these holes up too first with a little bit of paper towel. That way we don't, by accident, throw a nut or a washer down and through there. Putting it together, what fun. Now we got the valve cover back on, And all these bolts are shoulder bolts. So what that means is, you know, get them all started, and you just slowly start tightening them up, because there's a lot of rubber going on there. You got this, you got like this. I got the flashlight on it right now. You got this rubber thing here, and you got rubber gasket there. So you don't want to just tighten one of them down like that. You just want to keep going around circles. It may take you a few times to get around there, but again, you don't want to just tighten this one up, then that one up. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to do something, screw something up like that. So we got the whole thing in there. Everything looks good. We're going to reroute these wires. Hope you remember how they went, because I don't. No, I remember how they went. But again, if you take video or pictures of this stuff before you get going, that's helpful later on. So anyway, we'll throw that back in there, and we'll be able to get the, you know, the top pieces of plastic, and obviously the coils and the ground wires and stuff back on. Okay, we're getting close. Okay, we're just about done here. We tightened all these up a little bit, right? Got all the coils in there, got all these snapped down, and I put a little bit of, again, this is my nemesis, this thing. The only reason I say this 2 or 3 times, I broke one of these stupid things, and they're a pain to get at. So I put a little lube on here, WD-40, before I snap that back in. So we're all good to go there. Now we're going to put these 2 covers on, put that centerpiece back on, and we'll be good to go. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's been, it went pretty well. It took us about 2.5 hours, something like that. We're not working too hard. Took a break for lunch in between, so we're getting there. So if you need to do it, it's not the worst job in the world, but just don't drop a freaking screw somewhere where you got to get it out. So have fun. Bye.